and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys, to what is widely believed to be Ronald Koeman's final match in charge of Barça, because according to multiple reports, the decision has been made. Koeman's time is up. He will be sacked after the match against Atletico Madrid and ahead of the upcoming international break. And it seems like pretty much the only reason why Ronald Koeman is still in charge this weekend is because, of course, he's not even going to be on the touchline anyway. He is there serving the final match of his suspension after the red card that he picked up against Cadiz. So the 3-0 hammering against Benfica looks increasingly likely to be Koeman's very last game. Because even in his pre-match press conference today, Ronald Koeman was in a kind of strange mood. It was a very, very curious atmosphere there. He came in, he was sort of laughing in a sort of weird way. It was almost like his heart wasn't truly in it. And he actually greeted the journalist there by quoting Louis van Gaal's words before what was his final game all those years ago, and it does feel like this time it is definitely going to be the end for real. And of course, with Koeman not on the bench, what I want to do here in the preview is take your focus away from him. He's not on the bench for this one. He may never be on the bench for Barca ever again. So let's focus here on how this Barca team, in desperate need of points, we are low on confidence. You can see that right here. Confidence with fans, with players, it's at an all-time low, but we have to pick ourselves up. We have to get a result at the Wanda, and let's start with a few positives. Because positive number one would be Alfred Schreuder. We all know, like I say, that Koeman isn't going to be on the bench. Replacing him on Saturday, he's going to be his assistant there, Alfred Schreuder. And let's not forget that last weekend against Levante, we were coming into that game, we'd laboured to 2 back-to-back draws against Granada, against Cadiz. The team looked really, really low. No real creativity, no urgency, no intensity. But with Alfred Schreuder on the touchline, the way that he set the team up against Levante, the way that he orchestrated them during the game, it was like a different Barca. It was like a completely different team we produced there. I think the best first half of our season. We were very, very intense in our play. We created an abundance of chances. And I think his outlook on the touchline, it's very different to what we get from Koeman. From Koeman at times, he can often look like quite a laboured character. You know, hands in the pockets, arms crossed, a lot of negative energy, not really too much encouragement coming the way of the players. But with Schreuder, he's right there. He's giving encouragement. He's giving motivation. He's barking instructions. He's very involved in the game from the sidelines. And of course, we don't expect him here to work miracles. We don't expect him to rapidly change everything. And of course, he is still going to receive some instructions from Koeman. But I just think here, it is a boost. It is something that we can be a bit optimistic about at a time when we are short on confidence. Positive number 2 would come in the form of the league table. Now, not the fact that we are in 6th position, which is anything but positive. That is not where we need to be. But the point that I would make here is when you look at the teams around us, particularly they look at Atletico Madrid, they are only 2 points ahead of us throughout this season. We also have a game in hand on them. You also look there at the likes of Real Madrid, who have played a game more, and they're not all that far away. So the positive that we can see from this season so far is that, yes, Barca have been nowhere near it, nowhere near our best, but the teams around us, again, in a similar way to last season, have also not been firing on all cylinders. Which brings me perfectly on to Atletico Madrid, who, yes, coming into this game, they're a real force. They've got an unbelievable squad. I think they have the best squad in La Liga by some distance right now. With the options that Simeone has, really, in terms of forwards, they are absolutely incredible. But so far this season, it hasn't quite clicked. You look at the results of Atletico Madrid, and yes, of course, they picked up plenty of wins along the way, but you look at that game against Villarreal. Early in the season, they equalised there with an own goal in the 95th minute. Otherwise, they would have lost that game. You look at the game then against newly promoted Espanyol. Again, they were close to dropping points before a 99th minute winning goal. They dropped points in the Champions League against Porto at home. They dropped points against Athletic at home. Then again against Italia Getafe, a 90th minute winner after a red card for Alenya in that game. They lost to Alaves, and then again against Milan, a red card for their opponents, a real comeback, 95th minute winner from the penalty spot, which was contentious on the day. So the point that I would make there is Atletico, you've got to admire their mentality, you've got to admire their attitude for playing right up until that final minute. But their season so far, it's been far from perfect, and Simeone, as of yet, has not worked out the best way to play this team. Which also leads me on to talk about Griezmann and Suarez, because obviously all of the headlines are going to point to Griezmann and Suarez, both of whom come into this match off the back of scoring in that game against Milan just a few days ago. That will certainly give them confidence coming into this game. And they are two players, of course, who left Barça under very fractious circumstances. Both of them have got some difficult feelings towards the club, and they are going to be looking for some revenge. They're going to be looking to prove a serious point. And Suarez proved that with his words before the game there, taking shots at Bartomeu, taking shots as well at Ronald Koeman for the way that he treated him during his final days at the club. He said there that he felt like a 15-year-old, and he often went home from training alone actually crying because of what Koeman did put him through. But again, when you look particularly at Griezmann, because since returning to Atletico Madrid on deadline day, he hasn't set the world alight. He has not yet slotted back into that team. He doesn't yet feel at home again in Atletico colours, because you look at it there, 6 games, 332 minutes, 1 goal, no assists. He's only had 1 shot on target. He's only completed 2 dribbles, and he doesn't seem to be completing either a lot of his passes. He is very disjointed from this team right now. Again, Simeone, he's giving him every chance. He's playing him, which is great for the terms of our loan. He has certainly played over 50% of the minutes for Atletico so far. But for Griezmann right now, coming into this game, it's not all perfect. But of course, as much as I am talking about Atletico Madrid, we do have problems of our own. Let's start here by looking at the squad list. Of course, we are without a number of players, and there is one more to consider as well. Because whilst Jordi Alba returns for the first time, since of course he was rushed back against Bayern, he then suffered a relapse, and only now is he back with the squad. Well, there's no Pedri. He is out of the team. He suffered a relapse of the injury that he suffered against Bayern. Why? Because Koeman rushed him back. Straight back he was against Benfica, into the starting lineup. Quite clearly, it was too much, too soon. He has now relapsed, and again, you question Koeman. You can't moan about injured players. You can't moan about the players that you don't have available, when quite clearly, the ones that you do, you don't look after. But back to Schreuder. I keep getting distracted. I don't want to talk about Koeman. Let's talk here about the possible lineup that Alfred Schreuder is going to choose from coming into this game, and of course the options that he will also have coming off the bench. Because of course it is going to be Marc-Andre ter Stegen. He didn't play all that well against Benfica, did he? He had a few moments where you were thinking, what are you doing? Especially when he was running out of his goal. So please try and avoid that, especially given what happened last time we went to the Wanda. Ter Stegen in goal. Then for me, we go back to a back 4. None of this back 3, back 5 nonsense. Let's start here with a back 4 with good quality players in it. Let's start with Mingueza. Forget about Roberto. Do not bring him into this team. Mingueza starts at right back. He's been very, very good in recent weeks when he's played. Then along the back line, Araujo alongside Piqué. I think Eric Garcia needs a little bit of time outside of the team. He hasn't really performed too well in recent weeks. He's had a few moments, and of course that red card in the latter stages against Benfica. But then at left back, I would start Dest. There is no chance at all, no way at all, that I would be throwing Jordi Alba straight back into this team. There is no reason to do it. Dest, of course, played brilliantly under Schreuder against Levante. Play him in this game with Mingueza, Araujo, Piqué, and Dest along the back line. Then when you move into midfield, I would sort of stick with this 4-2-3-1 shape that we saw against Levante. It was all very fluid up front. They didn't necessarily stick to those roles, but it was good to start in that way. I would say De Jong, of course, and Busquets there holding in midfield. From the left-hand side, I would start with Coutinho, but of course he is going to drift in a central role. That's why, again, that front line is going to be very fluid. In the middle there of that sort of triangle, I would have Gavi. Of course, there's no Pedri. We're unlikely to see Ricky Puig from the start. Gavi, of course, now set to be a Spanish international starting in that central role. And I would play Yusuf Demir to the right-hand side. I would start him in this game, go with some pace out wide, go with some threat in a match like this. And up front, Memphis Depay. There is no way whatsoever that I would be starting Luke de Jong in this game. What did he do in the last game that warrants him starting here? Because you know Atletico Madrid, they're brilliant in the air. They're such a physical team. There's no point playing a great big strapping number 9 because they're going to deal with him. If he couldn't provide the goal against Benfica, if he couldn't score there from a matter of yards away from goal, there is no reason to start with him here. So with the limited options that we have, Damir from the right, Coutinho left, Gavi down the middle, and Memphis there leading the line. Because what I really want to see from this Barca team coming into this game is ultimately some belief. Because obviously, guys, heading away to Atletico Madrid, it's not an easy game. For any team at any time, this is never going to be an easy trip to have, let alone the kind of situation that we find ourselves in right now. And of course, in recent years, we've not exactly enjoyed great success heading to Atletico Madrid. It was another team that Koeman could not find a way to win against. But we have to believe. Let's come into this game here and attack it. Let's start with 4 at the back. Let's put some forwards out there. Go out on your own terms. Whatever happens, if we lose the game, we lose the game. If we concede goals, we concede goals. But don't just throw in the towel. Don't just sit back and accept your fate. Let's go out, attack this game, put pressure on Atletico Madrid, who haven't been great this season. They've conceded more goals than us in the league. Put pressure on them. Go and get at them. Force them into some mistakes. Let's be brave. Let's be positive, play on the front foot, and in the end, let's just see what happens. So that there, guys, was the full match preview for Barca heading to Atletico Madrid this Saturday in what, like I say, looks to be Ronald Koeman's final game as the coach. Please do let me know in the comments down below, what are you expecting? What sort of performance do you think we're going to see? What sort of lineup do you think we're going to see from Koeman, Schroeder combined? Please do let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. I'll be seeing you straight after the game. And let's hope here that this Barca team can spring some sort of surprise. I will see you soon, but until next time, as always, Visca El Barça!